certainly college football is such a unique animal when it comes to how much is invested in the first game of the year when neither team really knows exactly, what to expect. So you guys know that conversation. I think the other thing I could stand up here and talk about, FCS teams and what they've done over the years. I remember, 3 years ago, Eastern Illinois going out to San Diego State, I think beating them 40-17 in the first game of the year in San Diego. Certainly last year, North Dakota went into Wyoming, beat them. South Dakota State went into Kansas, beat them last year. And then, I could go on and on about that. So I think you guys all realize that, and just a little bit about South Dakota. They are going to be a very, very well-coached team. You go back and look at their from Western Illinois last year. I watched Western Illinois, University of Illinois. Very well coached, throughout the season. Past seasons, every place they've been, they've won. And then you look at South Dakota's team last year, really kind of a turnaround season for them. Obviously beat North Dakota State. A lot of starters back on offense, led by quarterbacks. They have a quarterback that reminds me a lot of Austin Apodaca. Quite honestly, his style of play, their starter from last year, and then the quarterback transferred in from Minnesota. Big, strong, 225-pound guy that runs the ball. Had 160 yards rushing against San Jose State at Minnesota 2 years ago. They've got a running back that was injured last year early in the season. He's 225 pounds. You look at yards per carry, was outstanding. Then their starting running back from last year who played the rest of the season, he's back. Basically, their whole offense is back. So you combine that with a really good scheme, a really good coaching staff, tempo-style offense, quarterback runs. Schematically, they're going to provide a challenge for us, no question. Defensively, they don't have as many players back. They are pretty young on defense. They do have the two safeties back that have played a lot of football for them. They have one defensive end back that's a pretty good player. Punters back, kickers back. The kicker made a 22-yard field goal, I believe, to beat North Dakota State in Fargo last year. He's the same one. He's the kickoff guy. He's the punter. He's the place kicker. The snapper's back. The returners are back. So a very experienced football team. I think they came into a situation. There's a reason he left. There's a reason he left Western Illinois to go to South Dakota. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think, Joe Glenn did a good job there. They were on the right track. So we understand what kind of challenge it's going to be. With that said, we're excited. I'm extremely excited to see if we can gain some traction, not spin our wheels, but if we can gain some traction and continue to move the program forward. That's what this is all about. Also keeping in mind this is one game of what's hopefully a 13 or 14 game season. So whatever comes our way, we've got to be able to handle, we've got to be able to deal with, adjust, and move forward. A lot of young players playing for us, but that's what a program is. That's what a program as you develop it is. That's why you've had the opportunity to recruit. You've had the opportunity to realize where some of your limitations were. So it's not like the first year or the second year or even the third year maybe where you were just saddled with some things. We do have some youth, but we have some talent in that youth. So I'm anxious to watch those guys play. So again, I know you guys have specific questions. So Rick, if you want to start it off.
You talked about young players. You said yesterday that Kentrell Moran probably will play this fall. Any other true freshmen in that category?
Yeah, I thought about it. I'm not really going to, the way college football is, it's not like you sign an affidavit that says you're redshirting this kid or you're not redshirting this kid. It's such a changing dynamic week to week that I don't think it's in our best interest or the players' best interest to just say, okay, this guy's redshirting, this guy isn't redshirting. I think all those things stay within your program because it's not an exact science. With that said, if I did say what freshmen look like they have the first opportunity, it would be Kentrell Moran. It would be Ume, the wide receiver. Obviously, Avery Jordan, a junior college player that has a redshirt year. and then Emmanuel Harris. And Lily's in that group, but it doesn't do us any good. It doesn't do the players any good to announce it because things change so quickly. So I've kind of given you the guys I think that are at the very top of that list. I mean, Blaze Fountain. You know, Blaze Fountain has a redshirt year. But Blaze Fountain's going to play. So there's a lot of guys in that category. We are in a position, more so than we've ever been, to really redshirt some good players. And hopefully we're going to be able to do that. And each one of those decisions is so calculated and so thought out. So, you know, we're just going to proceed ahead, and what happens, happens.
Coach, have you seen the recent off-the-field issues with Damian Gamlin have an effect on him, and how tough of a whole year has this been for him?
He's a man. He's a man. And, you know, this does become your family here. Evidence the fact that his father, he got the news in our office. We were the first ones to tell him during a morning practice, prior to a morning practice, that his father had unexpectedly passed away. We made him get out of the office at that moment, but he came back the next 2 days and practiced rather than go home immediately because he just wanted to be around his teammates and around his coaches. He went home over the weekend, Friday, Saturday. He got back yesterday and practiced. So, you know, he's a grown man. You know, he comes from a great family. His father had a chance to be here last year against Hawaii. One of the few games his father made was against Hawaii when Gambo cut that touchdown pass to win the game for us. So, you know, we've talked about a lot of things. Certainly with inside any program and any family as large as we have, a lot of issues come up almost daily. And I think just the support of his teammates and his coaches, this is his comfort zone right now. And, you know, it's good to have him back.
Coach, is it going to be the same like last year? Like Lamar starts the game and then you see what happens, whether, you know?
We know who the starter is going to be. I'm going to kind of wait and let South Dakota and you guys find out all at the same time. You know, not that it's any big surprise because both of the quarterbacks are going to play. In fact, I'd be disappointed if you didn't ask me that question, who was going to be out there the first snap. And you'd be disappointed if you didn't already know my answer was going to be, it really doesn't matter because they're both going to play. But that really is true. So we're just going to hold it and keep it tight and go with it when it's time to go.
Might we see 3, Coach?
There's a chance. There's a chance. I mean, Juwan Lawson really has improved significantly. I would say right now you will definitely see 2 and maybe see 3, but I'm not really committing to that.
Coach, last year at this time, we had some questionable for offensive line because you had some incidents. So compare the offensive line right now compared to last year at this time. How does it compare? Is it better, or are we about the same last year?
We'll find out. But I think, honestly, we have not made significant strides on our offensive line, if I'm honest. You know, we still are not where I want to be from just a development standpoint as far as young defensive linemen we've developed that I feel like we should have. I think we're still behind, quite honestly. We've had a couple injuries, but that's no excuse. We've made a couple decisions in recruiting probably that weren't the best. It's been a kind of a series of events, quite honestly. But with that said, I do think we have some talent. We're just still paper thin. You know, we're starting a center that's never started a game. Our left guard was on defense last year at this time, Chris Lewis. We recruited him as a defensive player and had to move him to offense. Our right guard is Charlie Grammel, a redshirt freshman that we think is pretty talented. But we're going to line up with a center and 2 guards that have never played in the game. And this is our 5th year in the program, and I would hope we would be farther along than that. No disrespect to those guys. You know, so I think we've lagged behind just a little bit in that area. And it'll be a test. It'll be a test. I think that offensive line will impact greatly our success as a football team, and they certainly have a challenge. With that said, schematically, we've kind of built it because we knew where we were with our offensive line, and we've done some really good things schematically and probably hidden some things in there. So again, you know, we've kind of put ourselves in this situation, and we've got to dig ourselves out of this situation as we continue to build this program.
Coach, across the board, do you have more game breakers on your roster now than ever?
I hope so, Henry. I hope so,
I
man.
mean, on any given play. bang.
Yeah, we're pretty quick. We're explosive. I would say, again, you always want to think about what you have and not what you don't have. Every day I try to think about what we do have and what I have and not what I don't have. It hurts that Delane Hart's not out there. Delane Hart right now is a game breaker, as you guys saw last year with the number of big plays he had. But with that said, we have some pretty dynamic guys now that can go, both at wide receiver and at running back and at quarterback. So we do have some speed. We do have some guys that can create explosive plays. It's just they haven't done it. You look at wide out with Matt Corrals, Pat Reed, Q Drennan, Emmanuel Harris. There's some guys with some explosiveness out there and can get down the field. It's just I haven't seen them catch a ball in a game yet. But that's what's kind of fun about this. I think as a coach and I think as a college football fan, you would be excited to come out and watch us because I will tell you there's some speed and there's some explosiveness on that field. That's why it's going to be fun to find out.
Can that first game really kind of set the tone for the rest of the season?
Absolutely. But I think you got to be careful, JP. You spend so much time obviously getting ready for the season, and it kind of almost seems in some people's eyes that all you're doing is getting ready for the first game. And we've all seen it, where you get into that first game and something bad happens, and somebody put a pin in that balloon, and everything just goes flat, and everything goes to chaos. There's probably more blowouts in the first game of the season than any other time during the season, just because of that. So I've been careful to talk to our team about, okay, this is one game. And that first kickoff or that first kickoff return, that's one play of this game and one play of this season. So I think keeping an even keel. And what I talk to our players about is all we have to do is be the best team in the stadium Thursday night. We don't have to be the best team in the Mountain West Conference Thursday night. We don't have to be the team that everybody maybe hopes we're going to be in Albuquerque if continue to build this program. All we have to do is be the best team in that stadium Thursday night. And I think you got to be careful of putting too much emphasis and too much into one game and one opportunity. So it's a long process. And I think players normally follow the path of their coach, particularly when the coach has been here a while. And I think you just have to stay even-keeled, and whatever comes your way, you handle.
What do you think about playing on Thursday night?
Pardon?
What do you think about playing on Thursday night?
I love it. I think it's great. I really do, particularly this weekend. I don't think if it was the middle of the season, I would want to do it necessarily. But I think first, what is it, Labor Day? I get Labor Day and Memorial Day screwed up sometimes. But Labor Day weekend, you can stay at home, watch us play Thursday night, and get out of town. You've got no excuse, right? You got no excuse. That cooler can wait till Friday to head out of town, right? You don't have to leave Thursday night. So I think it's great. We're going to be on television. Everyone around the country, particularly the western part of the country, will get a chance to see this. I think it's great. What
are your you have expectations for the team and the players, but what about the fans? What are you hoping for them?
I got my hands full with those first expectations you talked about, with players and our coaches and, that thing of coach your team, right? I'm going to let somebody else coach the crowd and somebody else count the numbers of people there. I'm here for one reason, that's to coach our team and put a team out there. So, that's somebody else's responsibility. But I hope people come out, and I hope people are excited, and I hope if they do come out, they're going to like what they see and come back again.
You talked about the game, we just talked about it being Thursday, but it's kind of good for recruiting as far as people get to see Mexico.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Anytime you do something different, I think it's good. Now, some of those MAC teams playing on Tuesday and Wednesday night during the season, that might be a little bit too different for me. Unfortunately, here in our conference, we may get a Friday night game. I think those Tuesday, Wednesday games are stretching it a little bit. But I think, again, this is an opportunity to do something a little bit different. So we're prepared for it. It's been a little confusing. Today's like a Wednesday. You play that thing, and tomorrow's like a Thursday. But we tried to do a good job of that with our players. And, we're anxious.
A lot of these FCS teams are just loaded with FBS transfers. Do they have a lot or just a few?
Not a lot. They've got the quarterback from Minnesota that transferred. He's a late addition. He didn't go through the spring, I believe. They're not a heavily transferred team. When you look at some of the other teams, like you mentioned, you know, the Sam Houston States, a lot of them, it doesn't seem to be that way with South Dakota. It seems like most of those kids there are players that they recruited as young guys.
How do you do next week on an off day? Like, this is a Thursday and then the next week you get a day off? Do you-
Yeah, we're giving Friday off because you have to give them 1 day a week off. So our day off will be Friday. We'll come in Saturday morning, watch the South Dakota tape, start a little bit of New Mexico State. New Mexico State plays at UTEP Saturday night. Then we're going to come in and practice Sunday and Monday and give them Tuesday off. So our day off this week will be Friday, the day after the game. And then we'll try to get a jump on, New Mexico State Sunday.
Coach, on this defense, is this the best we've ever had defensively going into this season since you've been here?
If we can Lobo tackle. If we got that rugby tackle down, Marty, man, it all comes down to that rugby tackle.
It might come down to it.
I know it does. It really does. You see everybody in the country is doing that now, too. Yeah. Did you and Pete Carroll get the patent on that? So you,
No, Coach, but it's been around for a long
you can
time.
do that. No, I'm just teasing you, as you know. I love your passion. In fact, I was driving in probably sometime in January, February, and I heard you talking about rugby. And you were on fire. Talking about in the Olympics, right?
Right.
I mean, you had Brazil and all the teams, and I was impressed now. But what was that question again?
Well, maybe Dudley DeGroot, who was the head Lobo coach from 1950 to 53, was the star of that Olympic team in 1924.
Did I stop, Bob? Cut me off when I get it. No, to answer your question, Marty, in all seriousness, this is the most experienced team we've had. You know, I looked last night, I was playing. Every defensive player we put out on that field has started a game. And we probably have 6 more guys that have started games for us on defense, where it's a little different on offense. But truthfully, as you know, and you've been watching us a long time, we have a lot of experience back. We made some strides last year, but we're not as good as we have to be. So the key is we got a lot of guys back. Can they raise their level and play better, and can we play better as a unit? But as far as experience, absolutely. Every kid we're putting out there has started multiple games for us. And that's why I think South Dakota is such a good test, because schematically, it's going to be the full-on spread, tempo, it's going to be empty, it's going to be quarterback runs, they motion to some unbalanced, they do a lot, and I think it's a good test for us.
On the offensive side of the ball, like you said, you don't have as much experience on the offensive side of the ball as far as returning starters. Can you talk about the impact of the running game and how that might help, put those offensive line players?
Yeah, I think one thing, a running back that can make people miss makes up for a lot of things. That makes up for a lot of things. And I do think we have that. You know, we have a piece of the Terrion Gibson, Chestnut, McCorley, T.O., Woodhouse, maybe Contrell Moran. We got some guys that can make you miss. And that's what's going to be interesting to see. You know, a big part for us, and it has been, is get the play going. Get the snap, no mental errors, no self-inflicted mistakes, and let those guys have some room to operate. So that's our team. You know, we've just about led the country in explosive plays, really, in the first 4 years we've been here. And I expect us to be every bit, if not more, explosive. But we've got to be able to give them a chance to operate and get going. And that's kind of the focus, is on no self-inflicted mistakes.
Terry said he loves the other side of stuff. Guessing the line numbers that much quicker. How does that progress with you?
I'm anxious to watch. You know, it's no secret. We've devoted some time to under center offense, because I just read an interesting article on Todd Graham at Arizona State. He has been a unique defensive coach that does a lot of unique things. But he had said himself just here a week or so ago, you know, their defense has consistently gone backwards since he's been there, statistically. And there is a piece of people, particularly when you do things differently like we do, that kind of catch up with you. So for us to really build this program, we have to continue to do things a little bit different. And last year, offensively, as far as just consistency running the ball, we weren't quite as consistent. You know, we had some big shots and big plays, but consistently, we weren't that good. So we're constantly trying to tweak things and try to be able to do something that people don't see year after year. And it's the first time we've really had a chance to do that this year. So I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out. You know, we'll do some under the center. We may do a lot of under center, depending on how it goes, depending how they try to defend us. And it will be a piece of our offense moving forward because we have to be unique here to try to get to the place we want to get to.
You mentioned getting the place started, Bob, and you talked about Blaze already, in terms of center and what you've seen through camp and now game week. How are the snaps? Is there a comfort level?
You know, Blaze, we all know it's no secret. You'll see he has a cast on his right hand. You know, he's got a little crack in the joint on his thumb, and they've had to cast that, obviously, because they don't want to have to go in there and they want us to let it heal. And he's really adapted pretty well to it. You know, he started out snapping with his left hand. He's a tough guy. Like he said to me, Coach, he said, I'm not worried about the pain. I'll take the cast off and play. But I said, you don't understand. You take that cast off and hurt that thing, you're in surgery and they're putting screws in there tomorrow. So he's adjusted to the cast. And I think he's going to be fine. But again, that's why you play the games. That's why you go play. But he's done everything we've asked him to do. We've got Adam Deal calling in on his mobile right here. Does anybody want me to answer this? Does anybody? Adam Deal calling in, anybody? I don't think Obama is in that situation, right?
Coach, opening week, is there something innate that's spontaneous about opening week that spirits up? Guys know it's opening game. Wow, what a feeling.
Tell you one other caveat to this. I heard you, this might have been in February, talking about the Muhammad Ali story. When Muhammad Ali came to Albuquerque and you snuck in through the kitchen and gave Muhammad Ali that basically a statue, right? Or
It was a wooden plank.
yeah, that was an unbelievable story. Then you went back to the Poconos. He invited you to the Poconos, took you down to Philly to be on the radio station, do an interview with them. That was an unbelievable story right there. That really was. That was worth listening to. All first games are exciting. You know, this is why we do this. This is why I feel so fortunate to have the opportunity to coach again. It's what we do this for. It's exciting for everyone.